In 2022, a documentary team from the UK entered Bangor Fort after dark, armed with thermal cameras and EVP recorders. They got the first ever clear thermal image of the legendary Shadow Prince. But the image didn't show him in the fort. It showed him standing silently in the thermal reflection of their own SUV's window, already outside the walls, waiting for them to finish their investigation. The silence of Bangor Fort at sunset isn't peaceful, it's predatory. That's what Arjun Sharma, the leader of our documentary team from London, said as we passed the forbidding stone archway with the fading royal insignia. The government sign at the gate was unequivocal: entry strictly prohibited after sunset. By order. Local legends spoke of a curse so potent that not even the government's archaeologists would risk staying past dark. Our team was skeptical, armed with science. There was me, Priya, the sound engineer, Leo, the thermal imaging expert, and Arjun, our presenter and a historian of Rajput folklore. Our goal was to debunk the myth of the Black Prince, the spectral ruler said to guard the ruins of his cursed palace within the fort. According to the tale, Arjun narrated to the camera as we set up in the central courtyard, Prince Man Singh, a ruler known for his dark arts, was cursed by a wronged saint. The saint decreed the city would fall, never to be inhabited again, and that the prince's soul would guard the empty ruins for eternity, attacking any who defied the setting sun. We laughed nervously, checking our equipment. Leo set up his FLIR thermal camera on a tripod, pointing it at the ruins of the main Haveli. "Ghosts are cold spots," he said confidently. "If this prince is here, he'll show up as a beautiful blue blob on my screen." As the last sliver of sun vanished, the temperature didn't just drop, it plummeted. Our breath fogged in air that felt 20 degrees colder. The thermal camera screen, which had been a canvas of warm yellows and oranges from the residual heat of the stones, suddenly bloomed with a large, human-shaped patch of deep, electric blue. It was standing in the doorway of the Haveli. "Leo. Is that?" Priya whispered, her voice trembling. "It's a cold spot. A big one." "Right there," Leo said, his professional detachment cracking. He zoomed in. The shape was tall, wore what looked like a long, flowing garment, and had a distinct turban-like shape on its head. It was utterly motionless. Then, our parabolic microphone, aimed at the same doorway, picked up a sound. Not a whisper, but the clear, metallic shing of a sword being slowly drawn from a scabbard. Arjun, to his credit, kept narrating, though his face was pale. "We are documenting a significant thermal anomaly and corresponding auditory phenomenon. The legend states the prince attacks those who stay after dark. We see no aggressive movement." That's when the laughter began. It was a child's laughter, high-pitched and playful, echoing from the direction of the fort's abandoned stepwell. The thermal camera swiveled, revealing another, smaller cold spot, a child-sized blob, dancing near the well's edge. "The Princess Ratnavati," Arjun breathed. "The story says she was the prince's daughter, who died young. She's said to lure people to the well." We decided, unanimously, to pack up. The data was already groundbreaking. But as we moved, the phenomena became aggressive. Stones clattered behind us from empty rooftops. The child's laughter turned to sobbing, then to a sharp, terrified scream that seemed to come from right beside our ears. The thermal camera showed the blue prince shape now moving, gliding from the Haveli doorway into the courtyard, cutting off our path to the main gate. Panic set in. We abandoned the tripod, grabbing only the handheld thermal imager and our key equipment. We ran through a side passage, a crumbling alley between high walls, heading for a smaller, forgotten gate Arjun had read about. We burst out of the fort walls, gasping, into the scrubland beyond. Our black SUV was parked 50 yards away, a beacon of modern safety. We sprinted for it, fumbling with the keys, and locked ourselves inside, for a full minute, we just sat there, hearts hammering, watching the imposing, silent silhouette of the fort against the starry sky. Nothing followed us out. "Okay," Leo said, trying to laugh. "Okay." That was intense. But we got out. And look, we got the money shot. He held up the handheld thermal camera, which had a still image function. On its small screen was the clearest thermal image of a humanoid figure any of us had ever seen, the prince, in chilling blue and black. Standing in the courtyard, but something was off. I leaned closer. "Leo. The background. Those stones. That's not the courtyard wall." The background in the thermal image wasn't the flat, high wall of the fort's interior. It was low, spiky, and irregular. It was the scrubland and thorn bushes, Priya realized at first. She slowly turned her head to look out of her passenger side window, in the direction Leo had been pointing the camera when he took the shot. The thermal image hadn't been taken inside the fort. He'd taken it when we were already outside, running for the car. He must have triggered it by accident. The image showed the Black Prince, but he wasn't inside the ruins. He was standing out here, in the scrubland, between the fort wall and our car. He had been waiting for us in the dark. And in the image, his head was turned. He wasn't looking at the fort. He was looking toward the bottom corner of the frame, toward the spot where, a second later, our SUV would have been speeding past him. We drove back to Jaipur in utter silence. The footage was explosive, but we never released the full documentary. The thermal image was published in a paranormal journal, dismissed as a digital artifact, but I keep the original file. And if you enhance the shadows in the corner of that thermal image, you can see something else the camera picked up from the cold night air. Reflected in the SUV's dark window, just beside the prince's thermal silhouette, is another, smaller blue shape. A child-sized one. It appears she didn't stay in the fort either. They weren't trapped inside Bangor. The curse isn't about guarding an empty palace. It's about claiming territory. And that night, we learned the territory doesn't end at the fort's walls. We had brought the curse with us, captured in pixels and terror, a silent prince and his laughing daughter now forever waiting in the digital realm, and perhaps, in the dark just outside your own window.